Yeah, and then the ESPN. All the new faces. Yeah, it's still hard.
Yeah, it's working.
It is.
Thank
It
you.
really
neighborhoods north. Is that right?
Not the liquor
It
store.
doesn't go west of,
I don't go
Highland.
west of Highland.
Oh, you don't go west of Highland, so that's Scott.
yeah, we're ready.
All right.
We're ready.
We're recording. Yes.
How are you today?
Okay, thank you, everyone. Welcome. So this is the Cottonwood Heights City Council work session for today, Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. Thank you for being here. Our first item of business is going to be a review of our business meeting agenda tonight. We also have a CDRA meeting before the business meeting. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Matt, would you mind leading us in that effort? And we'll have our city council reports tonight. So we do the second meeting of each month. We'll have a citizen comment period. So item 5 tonight is a public comment period. I don't see Mike here yet.
He'll be here.
Okay, let's move on. I'm gonna have Mike talk about that for a second before we move on. Item 6, we have our some quarterly quarterly reports. First from our finance and administrative services director, Scott Juris. I haven't seen Scott. Can you see him?
He's been at a funeral. He will
He will be here. Okay, great.
He's at a funeral all day.
Okay, there's Mike, and then we'll also have our quarterly police report from our assistant to the chief, Candy Terry, right?
Candy, yeah.
Okay, great. And then we have 2 action items. Before I get to talking about those, I'll actually let Mike get that on first. So our first item for this evening legislatively is consideration of resolution 2023-44. Approving and ratifying a bid and awarding a construction contract for the storm drain access restoration project. And so Matt, I'll have you kind of introduce this. Now, is this raising the manhole
Yeah,
finally?
this is-
Great.
Yeah. You want me to?
Yes, go ahead,
Okay.
if you would. Yeah.
Yeah, this contract is to raise the manholes. We've ran into some problems during last fiscal year trying to get people to bid it was just a bad atmosphere. I'm not sure what happened. But we finally were able to get a legitimate bid from a contractor, and that's what this is. This is to raise approximately 250 manholes. Once those manholes are raised, this is kind of, if you will, phase 1 of the projects. We'll start phase 2 after these are raised, where we'll start cammering and washing, cleaning the pipes, getting a better idea of exactly what's in there, and then coming back as we have projects developed. So this is from last fiscal year. The funding is carried over from the last fiscal year.
Is that the only thing that's in the contract? It's just raising.
Yeah, this is just the manholes. Yes, sir.
The camera wasn't budgeted.
Not in this, not right now. We are waiting till we get through this first one, and then we'll be bringing these projects forward as they.
Is there any time frame? Do they give you on in this?
We are looking at a couple of months. We hope to be done by this winter
Okay,
and it finished.
great.
So they're putting 2 to 3 crews out there. The last time we had some issues and we had to change contractors or switch horses in the middle of the race. So that's
Okay.
where we are.
Okay, great. Thank you, Matt. Our next action item for tonight is consideration of resolution 2023-45, awarding a retiring police officer his badge and approving his purchase of a police firearm. And I did not realize Officer Potter is retiring, Chief, so I'm not very happy.
Yes, sir. Officer Potter was with me at the sheriff's office, and he actually was assigned to this precinct for his first 5 years as a rookie, and that he came over with us and spent the remaining 15 years of service here. He's hit his 20-year mark, and he's retired at 6-7 minutes ago officially, and so he'll wait a year, and hopefully we can get him back after the cooling off period of the legislature. We're asking that his gun, as customary, and badge be awarded to him for his recognition of his dedicated service, and then we'll do that at a little farewell in September. And he invited, and
Officer Potter has been a school resource officer for a long time and is beloved by many kids in Cottonwood Heights. A lot of them know who he is and his great relationship with them all. So yeah, we'll be sad to see him go. I mean, like you said, hopefully get him back.
They're living in the best spot now, having made an assignment.
I did, because we had one guy at Trade Brim Hall become a reserve and he started his own construction business. And it's to the point where he has staff that can run it for him, so we just transitioned him right back into that spot. And then we'll let Jeff sit his year and then he can apply to come back and hopefully we'll just take him right back.
Great. Questions, comments? Okay, so we'll go, let me go back before we move back to our agenda, our work session agenda and go. So the public comment period we have tonight is in relation to the council receiving public comment on our proposed sleds ordinance update. So Mike, do you want to discuss that briefly? And I'll probably have you do it in the business meetings as well.
Sure, thanks. I don't plan to go through it all in a ton of detail. This is the second continued public comment of the same draft ordinance that's been published. You as a council received one resident's kind of recommended changes. I received another just an hour ago. I have not had a chance to read through those yet, but I'll forward those along to the council as well. The first round of comments we received don't seem very substantive in nature. A lot of it is wording change or using phrases that the resident thought might be more clear than the language in the ordinance already. I think we can accommodate most of these, if not with the exact language. It's either already intended by the ordinance and we can clear that up, or we can, make the clarification. So I'll read through those in more detail. I didn't see anything that, any comments here that would create a substantial change in what we've proposed already. Other than those two bits of public input, the one I got today and the one that you already have copies of, I haven't heard anything else. So that's where it is.
Okay. One of those is the minutes, right? So I know that they're asking for a summary within the minutes. Does that we already have something like that, right?
Well, no, so that's actually different. So the two comments I've gotten that I'll send you are specific to riparian.
Okay.
And then there was a public comment made in the last meeting with a desire that the DRC not only take minutes of each meeting, but then create an executive summary of the minutes.
And I don't want to do that.
Which we don't feel, if minutes are taken, that will encapsulate everything talked about in the meeting.
Yeah.
Making an executive summary doesn't seem necessary above and beyond already taking notes of who was in attendance and what decisions were made and what was discussed and everything else. That's all in there already.
And it takes some of the context out of the meeting when you summarize.
There's some concern that trying to create an executive summary of what we as staff think was the most important takeaway might take away context or step over something else. So having the whole
within we have a templated document now, right? For the DRC meeting minutes.
Yeah. So we have an internal system where we take notes.
Is there a comment period section? Is there something where, if they want to add something to, they could do that?
Most DRC meetings are not sensitive lands DRCs. It's, hey, I want to do an ADU. What are the steps? Hey, I'm thinking about building a deck on my house. What do we need to do? I don't even think it's talking about the public comments. We're talking about those DRC meetings, but for sensitive lands DRC meetings, they usually result in a pre-scoping or a land disturbance permit, which is already documented, which has a lot of conditions on it. And then, we have reviews of documents that are all public records that go through either the city engineer or Geostrata. So those are all part of it. And then on top of that, we will also have either a recording or a written summary of what exactly is talked about in each meeting. I think we're covering everything that's covered in these meetings very thoroughly without having to do an executive summary on top of that. Okay.
And would that be considered a policy or will that be in an ordinance?
Right now, in the proposed ordinance, the definition of DRC says the DRC shall take summary notes, minutes, or recordings of every DRC meeting. So that's codified. Now, how we do that is internal. That's just like how we take minutes of planning commission, city council meetings. The ordinance doesn't spell out exactly how to take minutes, just minutes are being taken.
And the aspects of it being made public and being also posted within a period of time after the DRC meeting, is that going to be in the ordinance?
We have not put anything that says it has to be posted within a certain amount of time. So
What's the standard? What are we doing now?
Well,
are we just filing it and then if somebody wants?
Yeah, the record is always available, like any land use application or building permit. If the minutes or summary notes or, engineering reviews or anything are requested, we provide those.
Okay.
I think it's important that the public be able to review things and have an expected timeframe that they don't have to do a grandma request in order to access this kind of information. And so I would like the council to consider that if it says right in the ordinance that these will be made public and they will be posted within a reasonable time. That may be 5 business days, it may be 10 business days, but I think it would be,
On our website? Or
Yes.
We don't post minutes and summary notes of internal meetings right now. So that would be a big change.
well, yeah, I think that's the idea with the DRC, to make it more transparent, to heighten the level of public, not only council's access and knowing that it'll be that we can access it on a timely basis, but that the public also can access it without making grandma requests. And
I don't know about posting on the website. Is there a way to make a request without going through grandma for something like this, or would it have to go through grandma?
To get any public record, it's a records request. It's an online form that goes, you can submit it right from home and then we can email the record out. It's very quick and streamlined. It's how we provide copies of building permits and, business licenses and everything else. Building permits are not published publicly, but they're always publicly available. It's the same concept.
It also helps us keep track of who's requesting.
Well, I don't think the public should, I don't think that the public should have to divulge that they have an interest in a given topic. I mean, that's the input that I'm getting from constituents, that they find that they're often having to make grandma requests. They don't necessarily want the city to know that they want this information. These are taxpayer dollars. I think the DRC, our whole effort is supported by taxpayer dollars. And I think that it's incumbent upon us to legislate in a way that creates easy access, transparency, and accountability. So I have any support at the table for?
If I may add something on that, I will just tell you, first of all, I have a lot of confidence and trust in our staff. And I don't want there to be any indication out there that we aren't doing what we're supposed to be doing, because we are. We provide the information, we go through these grammar requests because that's what's defined in state code related to that. If you want all internal meetings of the city to have minutes and things posted on everything that we do internally, then that is going to significantly impact our efficiency and effectiveness. And so I have a lot of trust in what they're doing. They put together the meeting minutes, notes. People can request that if they want that. And that's the way we've done that for a number of years. That's what other organizations have done. And to micromanage our processes beyond that, I have big concerns with that.
Well, I appreciate that as the city manager. I can understand that you have your perspective. And I think that there's also the perspective of, again, the residents who elect all of us to serve them. And I'd like to hear from my council colleagues whether they have constituents who share concerns on this.
I'll add a comment, then we'll go to the.
Mary, if you allow me, Tim. As a city recorder, I am sworn to divulge documents that are requested for me. That said, if someone asks for a record and they say I didn't give it to them, I can go back and say I did, or that I didn't receive a request. And so to have a request for a record really backs us up as staff to say that we went through the process of gathering the information that was requested and that information was divulged. So to have that paper trail really backs us up as government against lawsuits about giving someone a record and not giving someone else a record. So that's just my.
Is there a
Thank you.
process with it? Because I mean, the intent of grandma is to be able to provide the transparency. And I'm assuming, Mike, in most cases, most of the things, if you get a request for this, that, or that type of a building permit or whatever, there's usually not a fee involved. If it's just pull it up and email it.
If it takes less than 15 minutes, there's no fee. Anything above that is
Which is also the point of grandma. Although I may have some personal concerns with people wanting to anonymously submit grandma requests. Paul, you know that Is there a provision in the grandma ordinance for a private record request, or is it public?
All records are public unless
But
we
the
specify
request,
private.
when we specify that the grandma request itself is private, or that there's
No,
anonymity
no,
there?
it's a public record. If someone asks me for all the public records requests for 2023, I can divulge that. I would not divulge any public information on that person, like their address,
Their
their
address,
phone
or
number,
phone number,
their
but
email.
who made the
All of that
request
would be redacted, but everything else could be available.
But that's also in the interest of transparency.
Yes, sir.
Well, in a time of technology that we have today, I don't really understand the additional staff time to make this public. And I think that,
Let's hear from.
yeah, I'd like to hear from
council.
the rest of the council.
Yeah, I think that we've set up, it sounds like all the parameters around them receiving public information is there. And I don't see the necessity for adding another step or another process in this and putting that burden on staff. I just have some real concerns about that. It's there, it's available. If consistent, and I'm not hearing from my folks in my district about any issues in getting information. Matter of fact, I've heard that it's been pretty good to be able to call up and get information. So I'm really, I don't know where this is actually coming from, and I really don't want to disrupt the apple cart as it is now, based on the things that people can receive when they request them. And it's very transparent at this point in time. They just have to put in the request. Now, as far as receiving a name, I think that that's really critical, because you do have to have those backup records to be able to say, I did do this. If it only takes one person to say, I never received this, this is my argument, now I'm coming after you. And we have to have some protections there.
Thanks.
I have nothing else to add.
Okay, I think so. Yeah, I think because this is, I think we're good with how we are. Perfect. Okay. Anything else, Mike, on this list?
No, I'll read through the other riparian comments we got. Again, these red lines have been reasonable. If I can incorporate this language and it helps address, the couple concerns that we've heard from the public, it doesn't seem to change the intent of anything. So there will likely be an updated draft with some of that cleanup language incorporated, but nothing substantial.
Okay.
I appreciate that work. I mean, I read through, I know one of them was from someone who's come regularly, and what we can do and what makes sense. Let's
Yeah.
do our best efforts.
Maybe I'll clarify also, there was a public comment made in the last meeting that there's still language in there that prevents tree replacement and things like that. That was not read properly. I
We
talked with
gave
that
you some
resident.
credit. We went outside after the council meeting. And we went through specifically line by line, and you cleared it up. And so thanks for doing that.
Yeah, so that is not in there still, so I
Or
just
any
wanted to
discussion.
clear that up. Yeah, no.
Awesome. Okay, and then we'll do the consent calendar, which is the minutes from August 1st from our meetings that we'll approve. Okay, so we have a couple staff reports that we're gonna begin with today. Item 3A is entitled Cottonwood Heights Business Association South Valley Chamber discussion. And so we're gonna have our Community and Economic Development Director, Mike Johnson, again, start us off with that, Mike.
Thanks. Yeah, this is just an introduction. We were approached by the South Valley Chamber, who reached out, asking the city to join as a municipal member, the South Valley Chamber of Commerce. We had several meetings with them, brought it preliminarily to the CHBA board members a while ago, and have another meeting with the CHBA board members scheduled. So I think tonight the idea is to get the council's input on the potential of the city joining the South Valley Chamber as a municipal, partner or member. It does not preclude or change, I don't think, substantially what the CHBA and the CHBA's work would do. Kind of that really small business. It's a free resource to businesses to help promote and advertise and offer ribbon cuttings and spotlight at events and things like that. What the South Valley Chamber does is kind of stack on top of that to provide a larger business network where certain members of the CHBA and city staff and even maybe council sit on boards or committees with the South Valley Chamber.
Currently, in the South Valley Chambers, Sandy, Draper, South Jordan, Riverton. Is Bluffdale?
No.
No.
Bluffdale is.
So most of the southern, southeast and southwest cities belong. to
Well,
the
I'll give my
South
2
Valley.
cents if that's right, Mayor.
Okay.
So I may be a little biased because I used to work for an association. It's where we met, and I'm a massive fan of chambers and associations. I think that the connectivity with individuals and businesses and building those relationships is incredibly valuable. I don't know what the entire makeup looks like. I don't know what the exact parameters are. I'd love to dive into that and get some direction, but holistically, I would be in favor of us taking part. And part of that is, I like that we're keeping the local feel of what we have right now. There are some small restaurants and cafes that I think are a great fit, but then there's also those organizations. I remember going to a ribbon cutting for SoFi up here. I mean, I don't even know how long ago, 2015 or something like that. There are some of those businesses that are here that are global, that do span across multiple states. They may want something that is a little more robust, like an actual chamber organization. If we can provide both of those to businesses in our community, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Just fiscally, I do want to touch on this because
Yeah.
this is not part of the current budget. And also the city joining does not automatically enroll city
Membership.
businesses. They're able to pay to join. They can do that today. And I think they can join at a slightly discounted rate if the city is a member, but they do still have to pay to join that.
There are some services that are free. There's some, I think,
Yeah.
there's some things they do that will invite people.
Business Spotlight and directory and things like that. Packages on their website start at 500 and go up from there per business. The cost to the city currently, without them doing ribbon cutting services, because we do that with the CHBA and we don't have a ton of those. It's a 3-year contract proposal starting at 20,000 the first year, 25 the second, and 30 the third year. That would require a budget amendment with the council because this was not budgeted.
And if I may add,
Yes.
so the process, if the direction of the council is that we want to proceed with this, we meet next week with the CHBA. We're going to do that, but we would bring back a business services agreement. They've given us drafts of that we'd have to have Shane fine tune, incorporate what this would be in, and then it would come back for your consideration at another business meeting, maybe even the next one. And that would be the process, but we would have to incorporate that into the budget amendment that we're looking at latter part of September as well. So as Mike mentioned.
Have the businesses in Cottonwood Heights, both small and large, been surveyed on this to find out if this is something they want?
We've sent out some emails. We haven't got a ton of response. The thinking is any free service that the chamber provides, if it's an online directory or something like that, that will reach the small businesses, that's great. There are some businesses in the city that are already members of the South Valley Chamber or the Salt Lake Chamber or others. A lot of the large businesses will join and pay that membership fee and attend. So I think that we would see interest from medium-sized to larger city businesses with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand. I mean, when I used to go to Chamber of Commerce
Mhm.
meetings, it's been quite a number of years. I usually went to the ones in Salt Lake versus the South Valley, and I've only been to a couple of those in the last 10 years, but I'm trying to understand, if we pay this fee and yet the other businesses would also pay an additional fee, what advantage does it, because we're not trying to bring an advantage to the staff here. I mean, I'm trying to understand exactly what advantage this brings to our local businesses if we are a member versus
Sure.
just encouraging them to make membership or possibly subsidizing some of the businesses that need it with these kind of 20,000 the first year, 25,000 the next year. I'm just trying to see if we're.
Yeah, what it would do is it would give staff and I can't remember how it's structured, potentially a council member seat at the table to help shape policies and decisions that the chamber's making in a way that can benefit city businesses, which we don't have a say today because we're not part of it. We have also sent a few very small businesses to kind of business startup training programs sponsored by the South Valley Chamber. They've offered.
Do
some
they have
scholarships
a
that they've sent.
non-membership fee? I mean, when I'm just saying, when I
Yeah.
think about chambers of commerce, it's all for networking. So in terms of gaining training, or some policy influence, I'm not. Like I'm having a little trouble seeing the value based on that sort of thing. I definitely get the networking and the social, associations, that's what I was all about in my career. So I'm right there with you. On the
I have
network.
seen, as far as the policy stuff goes, I know that chambers were very active when the non-compete legislation was running. Having basically, there were companies in the state that were locking down employees so they couldn't go work elsewhere, and there's no freedom in the market. And so I know that that's something that they were very active on, that made a big difference. I know taxing on services was another thing that they were very active on. That is, it's less, in my opinion, it's less relevant for necessarily what does the city specifically gain other than the networking part. But it's more that we're showing businesses it's a priority, that we are putting the interests of the private sector and that community. It is important to us, and we're happy to support those efforts. But yes, I do agree with
So
what you're saying.
if I may add to what you're saying on that, to answer your question, Councilmember Burrell, the contract agreement talks about the services they provide. They would act as a liaison between the city and business community, promote and support businesses. That's been mentioned. Repository on business resources, provide networking opportunities. They also monitor a lot of state legislative issues. I know we have lobbyists that.
But they're monitoring different things.
They're monitoring different things. They provide assistance with the business retention program as well. I mean, I could go through a few more and you'll see this if the direction is to move forward, but they outline their services in the contract that they.
And because we're just starting out, I mean, there might be some things that if you're wanting to see them take part or bring value, they may be open to it. If you have any ideas, because I don't think we haven't signed anything yet. So.
Yeah.
Honest, I mean, we've had, over the years, we've had various chambers come and ask and talk and do that. And we eventually did CHBA, which I think has worked really well. Maybe I would suggest if it's, I mean, I think I'd probably rather see if city businesses can do that rather than paying the chamber itself the money. Maybe we offer businesses in Cottonwood Heights that would like to do that, 50% of their fee or something like that. I think, for $20,000, you could get almost 125 businesses signed up. But
I'm kind of leaning that direction. I'd like to kind of help small businesses with that, because the percentage of what it would take for a larger corporation to be a member of the South Valley is relatively minuscule. But for smaller local businesses, I think the help from the city directly to help them purchase that membership, in my opinion, would be of a greater value.
So, yeah, so I think it's an interesting issue. I have studied it and met multiple times with the South Valley Chamber. I think it actually shows a commitment to the businesses within Cottonwood Heights to belong. I think they really love this, our business association. And I think we do a great job and the ribbon cuttings and putting them in our newsletter and things that we can do to help them come out. To me, this is a bigger commitment to the businesses within Cottonwood Heights that we're committed to their success. We don't do a whole lot with them other than, what we do in the beginning. So to me, it tells the business community we're interested in helping you with networking, that you're going to pay less than if we weren't a member. So to me, I think I'm in favor of moving forward with it. Did you say whether or not you were?
I'm actually an active member of the chamber, and one of the benefits that we also get, it's attached to that networking. When there are new businesses looking, our Economic Development Corporation will go to these chambers a lot of times and say, hey, are there opportunities within some of our municipalities for this company to move there? So it gives us an opportunity.
You're talking EDC, Utah?
Yeah. It gives them gives us opportunities to be able to be on that inner circle and having those discussions to be able to pull in business opportunities. And I think that's one of the huge advantages of it. if we take full advantage of something like this.
I was just gonna say, maybe we could have further discussions with Jay and see. I mean, I don't want to put him in a box, and so I feel like maybe I shouldn't say it, but you know, kind of what Ellen's talked about, that if with some of these levels, maybe there are some memberships that can be gifted for some of our smaller businesses.
I think we could talk to him.
I think we could talk, I think that's something he'd be potentially be open to.
Does the CHBA express an opinion? Or is that something they want to do on the?
We've got that meeting next week with the whole board to gauge kind of what they think, kind of present this whole overview to them. We don't see any potential of joining the chamber as taking over what the CHBA does, because they're geared towards the really small business outreach, kind of grassroots free.
But there's also only so much that you guys can do, right?
Right.
There's some of those bigger things that partnership could be a good marriage.
I would be interested to hear their
Sure.
assessment.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we have 3 votes ready to move on this issue, right? But do we want to hold off before we officially do that?
Yeah, I think we should also
So we
let them
can
have a
get some
presentation
feedback from
here
the
and
CHBA. Okay.
feedback.
We can
Yeah.
do that. We can do
Bring
that.
it back.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
I would certainly feel a lot more.
Yeah.
Cautious of it if they're like feeling that that's stepping on their toes or that's something that they,
Mhm.
so, yeah, I'd like to hear what they have to think.
Okay, perfect. Next is item 3B, which is the design options for the Highland Drive Bengal Boulevard Road Safety Improvement. I'm really excited about this. I know we have Brandon Cloward with us today, so Brandon, come on up. And Brandon, you're with
Lochner.
Lochner, okay, which is the actual contractor or the consultant, Matt? I don't know.
This is our consultant.
Consultant, okay.
So like I said, this is Brandon Cloward. He's with HW Lochner. Lochner, just FYI, did our roundabout design. Brandon was the lead design or the engineer on that.
Okay.
So if you have any complaints, go.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, my appreciation, and Matt had actually mentioned this before, was what was really nice about this project was that there was feedback going back and forth between what we wanted and what you guys were designing and getting that all together. That was,
So
that type of cooperation is very appreciated.
we had a great experience with Lochner, therefore we've invited them back to help us out with this next project, which we're going to discuss now. So I'll do a little introduction. I'll kind of bounce through some things and ask if we got them as we go along, and Brandon is here to help me out, answer some questions. So here we go. This is the Highland Drive. We just call it the Highland Drive Bengal Boulevard intersection. It encompasses quite a few things that we can talk about. Just a reminder, there are 3 projects involved in this. 2 of them are federal aid projects, and 1 of them is a county funded project from the TAP funding. So what we've done is we've asked Brandon and his team to work on all 3 projects as a preliminary engineering so that we can have a cohesive project instead of trying to piece these things together. So what they're doing right now is doing we'll just call it up to about a 30 some odd % design. We've done the environmental study for the federal project, which is required. That was completed and signed off by the feds. I got that email, I think yesterday or the day, yesterday. So great job to that team who did that, which is Lochner and their sub-consultants. So 3 projects in 1 is what we're working on. And so we'll move right along here and I'll kind of try to describe them as we go. The one project, the ones in blue are actually the section that is part of the county funded project. The projects in green are the federal aid projects. Now, there's 2 federal aid projects, as I said. The original was the intersection of Highland and Bengal, which was put together to improve the efficiency of the intersection along with improving pedestrian, bicycle, and other modes of transportation safety. The other project, the federal project in the green, was actually adding a multi-use trail on the north side of Bengal Boulevard going through that intersection. So 2 projects in the green are the federal aid projects. 1 project in the blue, but it's actually split up, is the county projects. So a little bit happening here, but like I said, we've tried to combine them all into one so we can get the cohesiveness. Now, as far as construction, when that comes around, we'll tackle that one when we get to it. But here we go. We're kind of moving right along. So, so far, it's kind of got a lay of the land of where we are. And I think some of you are new here since we originally got this. So that's the project. Now, some of the goals of the project that we had for this was to improve the efficiency of the intersection at Bengal and Highland, improve the safety of pedestrians and bicyclists through the intersection, improve the safety for bicyclists along Bengal Boulevard, connect the path from Bengal Hills Cove up to the federal project, and then provide traffic calming on Bengal Boulevard to help slow down through the corridor. Now, I don't know if I can go back. So here we go. I'm back on it. So the north side, putting in the
Can you point to Bengal Hills Cove, please?
right down here, this right here, at the end of the blue line.
Okay.
There's a sidewalk just north of it. And we're connecting this trail right here, the one that we got the federal aid, to the county, all the way up here to City Hall, where there is a sidewalk right here.
So just to bring us all, so that we can hang in there with you, we have no protected bike lane, and is the goal, my understanding from 18 months ago, whenever I was introduced to this, was that this section was to bring a protected bike lane. Is that then still true of this turquoise color, the county project?
Yeah, it's the putting in a multi-use trail along the north side through here,
So-
and also trying to improve the bicycle lanes on Bengal Boulevard. Within
Show
the-
us the
So when you
pictures,
say
we'll have a better.
improve,
yeah.
I'm still, so there'll be a separated multi-use path that
Correct.
is separated by landscaping, but the bike lane will actually be in the roadway.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I got to get through the,
Okay.
yes,
All right.
but yeah, I'll get to that. So those were the goals of the project. Brandon, anything to add to that? Did I kind of hit it all? Okay. So what I'd like to do is kind of show you the layout. This is a general overall layout of the preliminary layout. This is not designed. And when I say it's not designed, we don't have exact dimensions right now. We don't. There's
scale.
there is a, yeah, it's one of my favorite terms, NTS. But we have a lot of things to do in here, but we wanted to bring this forward before we went any further to get your input and make sure that we are following the path. So this is the overall picture of the project. You can kind of see where improvements will be made, and we'll drill down into each one of these intersections in a
So what
moment.
does the green represent then?
That is raised medians through here. And then these are improvements along as well. So it's where changes will be occurring and alterations will
One
be
of the
made.
things, if I may interject this on behalf of cyclists. I realized that when we talked about this initially, there was an interest in helping Brighton High School students who live up to the north to get out into the northwest. But a lot of people that use Bengal Boulevard that are cycling are needing to turn left and go south on Highland Drive. So I'm really interested, I don't know if you can blow this up a little bit, but if you've ever tried to go from the far right hand and get across traffic in order to be in position to turn left as a cyclist, this is extremely dangerous. Cars are honking. So I'd like to have someone explain to me.
Maybe what we should do is let him finish his presentation.
Well,
I can show what he's got on paper, and then we can have comments
Well, it's
when we
so-
see what's in there.
Right.
Okay, so I'll try to answer those questions as we kind of go through each section of this project. But like I said, here's Bengal Cove over here on the far left. And this is City Hall capped on the far right. This is the entrance to City Hall. Across the street is the high school to kind of put you where we are, and there's the intersection. So what I'll try to do now is kind of go through the major sections and give you an idea of what's happening. So the first one I want to talk about is actually on Highland Drive. If you'll recall, through this area, this is the right access, the right turn access. And when you're coming through this area, what you will notice on certain times, especially on Wednesdays, there's a whole line of garbage cans that are sitting on the sidewalk or sitting on the road. We own, if you see this pink line back here, it's kind of hard to see right here, but that pink line right there is actually property the city owns. We own this whole area through here, this unused area, if you will. So what we're proposing is building a turnout lane through here to improve safety for these residents coming out onto Highland Drive, giving a place for the garbage truck to actually get off of the road so that you're not coming around that corner and making a hit, if you will, running into that. We're also, this is the multi-use trail that we've talked about going through here. And it gives us an opportunity. There's no landscaping shown on here yet, but it's an opportunity. This is somewhat of a gateway to your city hall, if you will. You're coming up Highland Drive and you're about to turn on the Bengal Boulevard. This is kind of a view that you should be proud of as a council. So we're looking at, depending on how far the dollars stretch or what we decide to do, doing some improvements on landscaping through this area. So that's, gosh, I'm good at this. So anyway, any questions through this general area, or Brandon, is there something that I'm?
Let's see, with the mailboxes are out on Highland.
Yeah, the mailboxes are out. They'll also go back in. So the mail service.
There's a mail truck.
Yeah, the mail service can actually pull back along there. Like I said,
UTA.
garbage can do that. UTA is very reluctant to pull off of a road. They have a sort of an aversion to it. They'd rather sit in the road, but it's an opportunity. We might be able to work with them on moving the bus stop down to that area, helping things out a little bit. Also relieve some of that traffic that gets backed up the other side.
Is the zigzag design, is that aesthetic or is that?
That's aesthetic.
actual-
That is
okay.
aesthetic. Once again, I'm sort of a big fan of moving sidewalks, if you will.
It's called a meandering.
Yeah, meandering path.
You can add.
That's just,
Steps.
He says moving sidewalk, I'm thinking the escalator.
yeah, no, yeah, kind of a rolling, if you will. I was just, for me personally, and when I talked to them, I said, kind of make it look. But this, once again, is built for
This is-
discussion.
Was that a 10-foot?
That's a 10-foot bicycle, multi-use trail, correct?
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
curbs are not so much that a bicyclist would be annoyed, they'd be able to move along.
Yeah, you don't feel them.
Well, you
I
see
mean,
that
do
all
what
in
you don't.
sand right along 9400 South. That's very common in there.
It adds a nice little aesthetic, but well, I'm not married to the idea. I may be dating the idea. I'm just not married to it right now. How's that? Okay,
I have more questions, but never mind.
no. About that. I love this.
There's other questions involved.
Anything else, Brandon, that on this
No,
piece?
you
Go ahead.
mentioned UTA, so when you get to the next page.
We can talk about that. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so this is the next one. This is the intersection of Bengal and Highland. Now, remember, one of the goals was to improve the efficiency. One of the things we do run into is traffic that backs up the hill during peak times, after hours. The original proposal was to add a double left turn lane here onto Highland, so traffic coming around is able to make that double left and get on here. We keep this on ramp onto Highland, if you will, going north, but we've also added, there we go, this turn where you can pull out and not sit right here on this to make that turn into Valère. You're actually able to get off and make that turn. Now, it doesn't seem that important until you get in front of me. When I'm coming around that corner, I've had a close call once. So once again, this is my personal preference. I like this one. But anyway, so that's an idea to improve that safety through there. And Councilmember Burrell, we can get more specific on your questions once I go through these. I understand the concern on getting from the far right lane over into the turn lane, if you will, going south on Highland. It's something as we continue to address this, we can get more specific on it and take that as a comment. I don't have anything specific right now, but I'll show you it. Like I said, it comes up a little bit later as well. So Brandon, you said bus stop wanted to.
Yes, so currently
The bus stop
UTA
is right
has a
here.
bus stop, yeah, where Matt's cursor is, and we coordinated with UTA and recommended that it be moved to the far side of the intersection.
Over here. Oh, here it is, right here.
Yes,
Sorry, I forgot all about that. Yeah.
and so they were in favor and support moving it there. And they also requested that it be elongated so that they could also install a shelter.
And the big changes on this, if you'll recall, this piece right here is actually a free right now, where you're coming off of going, turning eastbound onto Bengal Boulevard, that's a free right. We're proposing making this an actual turn lane. So you have to come to the light and then make that turn, and then taking this free right that was here, modifying it to the multi-use path. Also, what it does here, there's a crosswalk right here. It improves that crosswalk for people who are going from here to the bus stop. We get quite a few calls that cars coming around that corner don't see that pedestrian. They don't see that, and you are picking up quite a bit of speed coming up there. The other idea is we slow this down. So when you're starting to go back up the hill, you're actually having to start and go a little slower, as opposed to, trying to race through this to get onto here. So, I did it again. So this is the drastic improvement, or the drastic change, if you will.
So the bicycles would go
intersection.
up there on the right.
Yeah, the bicycles, there's an
And then it would
on-ramp
be-
right here, and they can bypass this whole intersection. This right here is a bicycle ramp. If they're riding their bike on the road, they can get up on here, come up here, and then there's an exit for them as well to get back out onto the road at the bicycle lane, which here we go. We're back here picking it up. This is at the apartments. One of our issues. Oh, I guess I should have let Brandon. Anything else on here that jumps out at us?
No,
Okay.
I would point out that one of the goals was to reduce the overall design speed to
Correct.
30 miles an hour. And so the 2 lanes that you see going up Bengal, we reduced.
We're able to
those.
reduce because we followed the new design speed that was adopted by the council last year. So we were able to change the lane configuration. Instead of it going way further up the hill with 2 lanes, we're able to merge them a little quicker and slow that down.
Well, go to the next one. I know you've got a single lane coming down, but where are you taking them to a single lane going up? Because
It's coming up.
So what is the width of these lanes?
These are 11-foot lanes.
Correct.
So the necking down, it's not quite shown in here, but it's between this location and, well, I can go back to, hang on, let me go back to this, sorry. So, yeah, the original is up in here somewhere. We're necking it down in this area right here. And putting in, we're on the intersection right now of this intersection, adding a turn lane as well to get cars off of the road and able to go into the apartments from this location.
there's enough people turning left that go into the apartments, so I think that's one of the reasons to keep.
Where is the next nearest UTA bus stop in this direction?
I believe it's down at the bottom of the hill, down around the,
Pizza Hut.
yeah, down in that part of it.
Oh. So it's along-
Yeah, it's all the way down at the
I'm
bottom.
just thinking, since this is multifamily. And someone should want to ride transit, maybe that's why UTA was originally thinking this would be more proximal both to the multifamily, but it also would be more proximal to the Brighton High School students if they use it.
But you have to move it for the bike lane.
Well, not necessarily, but it's in a location that we felt like it would, instead of stopping the traffic
Yeah.
and getting it out of this turn lane, we're adding the new turn lane.
Yeah.
Gets it out of that traffic. This is, like I said, a turn into there. You can see the multi-use trail going along here.
Those islands would have
These
vegetation.
raised islands with trees. To give that visual effect of slowing, tunneling your vision, so the traffic calming. This is the first intersection. Now, if you remember, this road as well as Butler Hills Drive, these both have turn lanes, or I'm not really sure why, but they both funnel into these roads. And it makes for a very long stretch to cross the road. You have to cross like 35 to 40 feet of asphalt to cross the road. We are proposing one pedestrian crossing here, so residents in this neighborhood or the apartments are able to cross and get over here. And what this does is it shortens the distance to one lane as you cross over the road. The crosswalks are just like the ones in the roundabout, where you go into it, you walk down and you go across. It gives a safety island in the middle and allows you to get across, instead of trying to cross so much and run across, you're able to have that refuge and continue. These will have the RFBs, the flashing lights, the things that go on there, and all of those fun little features.
And that would probably be the safest place for a bike to cross. To
Exactly.
Get on to go south on Highway.
Yeah,
Matt, since you represent Cottonwood Heights and the larger community on the SS4A committee for WFRC, is SS4A the state systems? Do they talk about these corner radiuses and how it would slow cars down if they were at more of a 90-degree angle instead of the radius that you show here? I mean, can that be a consideration as we try to slow cars down, is to get away from these kind of radiuses that are built for fire trucks, but that, I mean, a fire truck could drive over a curb, but no motorist is gonna let their car tire get out of balance by driving.
Well,
So I'm just wondering.
no, you bring up legitimate points. This is a design consideration in here. Once again, this is not specific to anything right now. It's a schematic drawing to show what it is, but we do have to take into consideration turn radius because of this right here. It has to be big enough that we can in fact turn larger vehicles to get them around the corner. If it's too sharp, then they're coming over into the medians. So, but it is a consideration that we'll take in as we go into final design. Brandon, anything on this one?
The other thing to point out is because of the addition of the multi-use trail, the existing sidewalk that you see along the north side of the road, we would remove that. So you'll see it there, but it would be removed.
So I hadn't picked up on that. So where it says existing something VW line.
That's the right of way line, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So right now we have this is the sidewalk that exists right now.
Correct.
Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct, and that would be removed.
So really, this
Favor
would be
of
somewhat of a
multi-use.
road diet, you could say.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I mentioned, so I just want to let you know, we've got a hard stop in about 5.
Yeah, I
So
will.
we've got
Last
some
one
other
I'm gonna
business
get
and then
right.
we've got a noticed meeting at 5:15, so we
Okay.
got to move on a little bit.
I'll get this one right here. So, and this is the Butler Hills intersection, same concept. Bringing these out, putting a bump out. This is really for students, a little more so. You can see where they cross, make that. Now, this is not a hard number, this distance, but we will work on that. We know that, we've got to kind of make it work for students and what they will actually use, or people. So this is another one that takes away that 40-foot. If you remember, we originally looked at this and we were gonna move it way down here to make this thing work. But by getting rid of that turn lane and doing this, we're able to put this type of crosswalk in. Okay, and then finally, just FYI, I just wanted to give you a little visual. I don't think people in Cottonwood look this way, but Brandon and I have a kick on, and get a little kick on this. So you can see the turn lanes, you can see the lanes going up the hill or going eastbound. You can see the trails, the shoulders, and we're trying to fit everything within the right of way and trying to avoid putting in giant retaining walls. And then finally, this is where it narrows up for the traffic calming, the raised medians, the 11-foot lanes, the bicycle lane here going up the hill. This varies, and then the multi-use trail over here. So we have a handful of things happening, but this is in a nutshell the proposal. So we're here to answer any questions you might have, or kind of take some insight and go as we go forward. The big question is, are we okay with the general concept of how it looks? Because once we go out of the gate with that, we will be, working in this direction.
I actually really like it, Matt. Now, you and I have talked a little bit about it before, but I think we've talked a lot about design of road is how you can slow cars. And I think this accomplishes that in a lot of different ways. I like the aesthetic of medians and vegetation to getting up, and it just is going to be, for the eye of the driver, a slower roadway coming up to a school. That's important, that we don't want them, and there's a roundabout. So I like almost everything about it. There's really nothing that I don't like. So
Can you go a couple of slides forward? See, no, back to, I guess I should say back to the
towards
last,
high
I think it was the
school.
last slide, yeah.
Oh, the last one. Oh, sorry.
So these little indentations, I like that because that's where these pickups come from. But will there be some deterrent from parking there throughout the whole day?
So this,
Where is that?
there's no
The
parking on it.
indents.
Yeah, the indents.
Oh, right here?
So, yeah,
Yeah,
That's
what
not big
these,
enough
what
for
these
park.
do, this will be, well, we would have to determine that.
Okay.
That's getting pretty down in the weeds,
yeah.
but we can determine that. But these are built because of these homes coming out onto Bengal Boulevard,
Okay.
as opposed to having them just drive straight onto it. It gives them a chance.
Same
to
as
do it.
Highland Drive, give them a little
Yeah,
bit of
Gives
buffer.
them a little bit of a.
I mean, that
buffer.
is a little bit of a trick for the people who live with
Yeah.
us.
I was just trying to think like the mom picking their kid up from
Well,
school, pulling in.
This will need to go to the school,
That is a good.
because I
point.
could see there be some serious concerns with taking out those turn lanes that people use to stop in and pick up their kids. So that's just something we're gonna have to deal with and talk about and address, because
Well, as this is through a school zone, there's a little bit more you can do with no parking,
Mhm.
things of that nature. I think we have that ability to look at it, but.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's getting down in the weeds, and as we move forward, we can certainly attack that and go with that. But
Good thing is,
I like
it is close to the police station, so.
Yeah.
They can write tickets out the window.
Very good point.
Could you go back one more quick time to the
This way?
intersection?
the big one. this
Yeah.
one.
I just wanna again, restate that, my biggest concern so far, I like so many things about it that has already been stated by my council colleagues here, but I do want to really be thinking about how we can encourage more of the residents that live here to come across. I get it that people who live on the north side of Bengal Boulevard are gonna love this. The people that live on the south side, I'm a little concerned, that they are not gonna necessarily want to go way back here to get a sidewalk to get across, and people are gonna be cycling, they're gonna, and walking, like say you're walking and you want to get now across. I don't see how this design facilitates pedestrians or bicyclists who are coming down onto Highland to go in the southerly direction, or frankly, really
But actually,
At
the
least
most
To have
common-
no previous.
the most common traffic direction for pedestrians is right down the sidewalk on the south side and straight across. That, in fact, that, making that a split phase will probably increase the student safety so long as they pay attention to this is a left turn only, not a walk across the street yet. But there is quite a bit that changing that free right traffic lane might irk some of the people who use it a little more often, but I've already forewarned my wife and will adjust.
So we need
But
to,
you-
we need
but
to
you
move.
can, but you
move
can
on,
move
Scott.
on in the future with stuff further south on Highland on the east side.
So Matt and Brandon, thank you. Like I said, I've been looking forward to that and I appreciate all the work that's been done and I think we have some great.
So,
Good
ideas
step in the
coming.
right direction.
Real quick, Mayor, and I know you're on a hard time. We will finish the 30% design.
Okay.
We'll finalize that and then we will be bringing back to you the final design contract. And it will be with, Rob, well, 99% chance it will be with Lochner to finalize it.
Okay.
We go through the federal process on that, on
Okay.
selecting the firm.
Okay.
Okay,
Beautiful. Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it. So item 4 is a review of calendars. There's just a couple items, the bark in the park at Mountain View Park from 9:30 to noon on August 26th. The community block party on the August 31st from 5 to 8 here at City Hall, and then the Monster Mash, October 27th. Here at the rec center from 5 to 7. So we do have an item to discuss. A litigation matter to discuss in a closed meeting, so I will entertain a motion to enter into a closed meeting.
I'll make that motion to enter to a closed meeting.
I'll second that.
A motion to approve and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, so we'll give Paula